So critical thinking, that's something that is a highly sought after skill. Employers want you to have it. Teachers want you to show it. It's good to say, I am a good critical thinker. But how do we develop this skill? This is something that a lot of students I've noticed I work with struggle with in particular. It's something that's hard to teach. It's not a switch you could just kind of turn on and off. It's a skill that you have to learn and constantly use to keep developing. So I am going to give advice on how to develop that specifically when looking at stories, because this is something I love to do. I love critical thinking. I love talking way too deep and going into way too much analysis of stuff and annoying the heck out of people around me because I want to dive so deep into why Mr. Darcy's hand clench meant so much in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. Okay, I like talking about it and explaining and exploring and having that discussion. So figuring out critical thinking is a great skill. Then once you have that skill, how can you translate that into an essay? But first, I need to explain the secret to writing. The untold truth about writing an essay for an English or a humanities class is that you can essentially say whatever you want as long as you're supporting it. As long as you are proving why this train of thought makes sense, you can say whatever you want and your content will always be right. Obviously, this doesn't apply when your teacher tells you to argue a very specific point. When you're given the prompt to explore the use of nature in a Jack Frost poem, that's something that you could just go off on and explore and say whatever you want as long as you're supporting it. That's the secret. That's all it takes. So it's not throwing random quotes in and hoping something sticks. It's having a discussion about those quotes and really developing your thoughts around it that make it work. So when you stick a quote or a paraphrase, or you're talking about a specific scene or line or whatever it may be, okay, why did you include that? What do you want your readers to get from that? That explanation will help build your argument. And that train of thought helps get you into deeper discussion. When you're first learning about something, you start with very basic questions. Who did what, where, and when? It just sets the scene. To dig a little deeper, ask why, ask how. Why did they do that? How did they do that? Why did they choose a specific method that they did to do that? What influenced them to do that? Or why did the author write this? Why did this happen the way that it did? What does this mean? Why is this important? Or why is this not important? And looking at things from that deeper level. Because I love Jane Eyre, I'm going to use that as an example. Throughout the story of Jane Eyre, there are very seemingly supernatural things that happen, but there's always a very logical explanation for it. It sounds like there's a ghost, but it's really the wind whipping through the chimney. It seems like somebody can tell the future, and the stranger is telling them everything about their lives and reading their minds, but really it's just somebody they know in disguise. These seemingly supernatural, inexplainable events happen all throughout the book. And then at the very end of the book, there is something mysterious and supernatural that happens. So when you're looking at why are supernatural and paranormal events important in the story of Jane Eyre, start looking at that. Okay, well, why are there non-existent supernatural events, but one real one at the end? What does that mean? How does that make me feel? What does this make me think of the story? What does this tell me about the story? What does it tell me about the love that the characters these characters show? This is just one example. So you start kind of looking back. Another example is starting with, how does this make you feel? Let's say you're looking at a line of poetry. Like you're looking at how something made you feel. Like you're looking at Shakespeare's "My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun." And he's going through with these kind of awful descriptions of the woman. How do those make you feel? But how does it feel then when he suddenly switches it and he's like, no, my love is real. She's not false. I just don't describe her with these falsities because my love is too pure for that. And he suddenly switches it. How does that make you feel? What do you think is his intent in saying that? How does this make you feel? Okay, then you give your response. Then I'm going to ask you why. Why does it make you feel that way? What in this poem makes you feel that way? Pinpoint it specifically, and it can be really hard sometimes. You might kind of start with a narrow field, well, like, I kind of feel weird reading it, but at the same time, there's something sweet about it. And you start digging a little deeper and digging a little deeper, and you realize he's not insulting this woman. He is praising her with a true description rather than a hyperbolic description that doesn't make sense because it's unrealistic standard. So then exploring your own feelings in, well, why do I think this? Why do I believe this? What made me believe this? How did the author convey this to me? Looking at that, and you start going detail, pointing out examples, explaining what those examples are. That's critical thinking. That's a deeper analysis. That's what your teachers want to see. So as you can start asking yourself these questions and looking deeper, you will be able to be a better critical thinker and be a better critical thinker and have a better analysis in your essays. I think there's a misconception that teachers don't want to hear what I think, they want to hear what's right. And that couldn't be any more wrong. Your thoughts and your opinions are very valid. You just have to support them and let me know why you think that, why that works. You could tell me this poem is about spaghetti monsters taking over the world, but if you don't have backing for that in the poem, I'm not going to believe it. It's not going to be well supported. If you find backing for it, first of all, kudos to you. But it proves your thoughts and it shows the logic in what you're thinking. And you could, in turn, argue that in an essay. That is my spiel for today. I will be giving more tips on how to be a better critical thinker. So if you want to learn more or you have specific questions, let me know. I post videos twice a week, and I'll see you next time.